The information for the Tokyo Revengers Part 1 equips has been released. The farmable equip this time is actually insane. It's so good. There's also been some changes to the crossover units, so yeah, I'll get into that later. But for now, let's go over the equips. First up, we have the Tokyo Revengers flag. It's the farmable equip for part 1. It's a 5-star support. Its passive increases defense by 5%, and the skill increases all allies' arch dodge by 25, and for 10 seconds increases human allies' attack by 35%, and it has a 35-second cooldown. Now this is actually a great equip because it works just like Fight Club Goku uniform. It gives you arts instantly instead of overtime, which means its effect is stackable. So you could be using multiple of these on one team. The only downside to it is it gives you 25 arts instead of 30 arts, but I mean, it's a free farmable equip, so it's actually insane. I'm definitely gonna farm like 2 of these at least, maybe even 3, because this equip is so good. Alright, now moving into the gacha equips, we have Mikey's Hipari. It's a 5-star support, and its skill increases all allies' arch dodge by 30, and for 8 seconds increases all allied dark units damage by 40%, and its cooldown is 30 seconds. Now this is a pretty great equip. I could definitely see it being used in nuking a lot or something like that because of increasing dark units damage. So yeah, it's great. Next up, we have Mikey's Bike. It's a 5-star physical, and its skill does 5000% dark damage physical, and for 6 seconds increases own arch dodge by 2, and if the user is dark, increases arch dodge by 4 instead. And its cooldown is 25 seconds. I don't know how it compares to Izanagi, but regardless, it's alright. For the defense equip, we have Mikey's Clothes. It's 5-star defense, and its skill for 20 seconds increases all allies' physical resistance by 20% and dark resistance by 20%, and its cooldown is 30 seconds. It looks pretty solid. Next up, we have Mitsuya's Bike. It's a 5-star physical, and the skill does 7,000% water damage physical, and for 10 seconds decreases enemies' water resistance by 40%, and its cooldown is 50 seconds. Another good equip. It's definitely gonna help out increasing your water units damage, so yeah, it'll pair well with Mitsuya. Alright, last up we have Mitsuya's Aaron. It's a 4-star support, and the skill for 10 seconds increases target's damage by 60%, and its CT is 35 seconds. This equip is really the only bad equip out of the gacha so far, so maybe you could use it for like nuking or something, but there's probably better equips for that. I'm not really sure. If you need arts, it's definitely not something you want to be running. Now let's move on to the changes to some of the units. They're pretty small, so yeah. For Mitsuya, one of his passives got changed. It's the one that increases his own arch dodge when his HP is above 90%. Instead of increasing his own arch dodge by 3, it now increases by 5 per second. So yeah, pretty good. For Mikey, the only thing that got changed was his arch damage. Instead of doing 20,000% damage, it now does 21,000% damage. And for the last thing, we have Takamichi. His arch now does 17,000% damage instead of 15,000% damage. Still looking a bit weak. Anyways, those are all the equips for part 1. I'll go over part 2 equips when they come out, so be ready for that. I'm begging you, if you're lacking in the Arshin department, farm the heck out of the Tokyo Revengers flag. It's so good. If you don't, Yamapi's gonna haunt you in your nightmares. Well, that's all I have for you guys. The equips are really good. Besides that 4-star support, everything else is just great. Anyways, have a good one.